welcome for our, my goodness, second alumni chat for spring 2025. I'm very excited to welcome Ashley Food to the virtual chat. She's an assistant planner at Bloomingdale's. And Ashley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jackie.
Oh, absolutely. It's so exciting to see you after, Ashley graduated in May 2024. Is that it? I can't believe we're in 2025. All right. So maybe just to start, can you tell us what an assistant planner at Bloomingdale's does?
Hi everyone. I'm Ashley. I started as a leadership development program trainee at Bloomingdale's this past June, and then I graduated from that program and I got placed as an assistant planner in our ready-to-wear division, which is just women's clothes. So I handle pretty cool contemporary vendors like Theory, Vince, people like that. So as an assistant planner, I work pretty closely with the buyers on several different things. I would say the first part is pre-season planning. So like for example, if you want to buy stuff from Chanel, you can't possibly buy every single style that Chanel has to feature at Bloomingdale's, and you have to have a target and like a budget. So I'm the person who's going to tell the buyers like, okay, here are our sales and financial targets this coming season. We think we're going to achieve how many million in sales, make how much margin, and then based on that, we're going to give buyers a budget and be like, here is the kind of money you have to buy the styles you like at this brand. I would say the second part is in-season management. So as planners, we work very closely with buyers to do business analysis every week. We just look at the business, be like, how do we do last week? What are the stores that are trending? Like, for example, Florida did really well last week, and we're going to find out why. Or this style blew up on bloomingdales.com last week. Is it because like an influencer talked about it? So we do very close like business analysis every week, and then we report up to management um, to just learn about like what are the trends and what should we chase after. And as a planner, I think in season, my most important role is to make sure that the inventory appears at the right place at the right time. So I do a series of things for that. I do allocations, which means I allocate certain amount of units to like the New York store, to the Florida store, things like that. I do transfers, meaning I can, if this inventory is not working at one store, I can transfer it back to bloomingdales.com or another store. I also help chase the best styles. We can do reorders if the style blew up and we ran out of inventory. We can work with the vendor to chase their best styles. I would say it's very much like an arts and science process because we look at the numbers so closely, and when the numbers are down, we always ask like, what's happening? I literally had this vendor whose sales were bad because they opened up a new location and it was blocked by the elevator. So like things like that really influence the numbers that you're seeing. And I think it's really fun to be a detective and just to chase after that. And we do the third part would be like a post-season recap. We work with the buyers and review the best styles, best stores. If it's a best store, we're like, okay, then you're getting more inventory next month, next season. Or if it's a best style, we know that, oh, dresses are trending for this vendor. We're going to buy more dresses next season. And so, yeah, and then we do that again, back to the pre-season planning. Yeah.
Oh, that was like drinking from a fire hose. That's a lot that you do in one small role.
Mhm.
Okay, so I want to dive more into that, but I'm gonna rewind backwards a little bit and talk about how you got here. So what was it about Bloomingdale's that was appealing, and what was the process to get this particular position?
Okay. So I'll first talk about why I chose Bloomingdale's and why I chose retail specifically. So just a little bit background about me. I was in college. I studied econ. I always wanted like I know I was very interested in like consumers, so I kind of started my career in marketing. I worked both on the agency side. I worked at Ogilvy and Dentsu, and I also worked many different roles in like for example the tech industry at Internet Zillow as a creative strategy intern, and I also worked at Warner Brothers in consumer insights. But then like throughout all these different marketing roles, I think one thing I wanted more of was actually diving into the business and like actually running a business. Like in marketing, we always talk about, oh, here is our strategy. We need to talk to the consumers this way. But I'm just like, so how? Like, what's the tangible things that I can be involved with? So that's when I learned about retail and like department stores, because here it's actually just like you're running a business and you can really see your impact very, very quickly. For example, I transferred the style from the store to another store and I helped the other store make like 10K more revenue. That's my impact. And even as an assistant level, I feel like I'll have a lot of say in running this like $1 million business. So I think that's really, really cool for me. And I wanted that more hands-on business aspect. I think it'll be really helpful if I want to go into senior management in the future, just learning how a business runs, basically. And I would say the second reason why I chose Bloomingdale's is for like I think I know I wanted to do consumer products for a long time, but I didn't know like which product category in particular. Like, is it clothes? Is it like um drinks? Is it like home, like bed sheets? I don't know. But so I was looking for like places that has like every single category possible. And then the leadership development program came into mind. Bloomingdale's, we have so many different categories. We're one of the only full line department stores in the US. We have home, we have furniture, like everything you can like think of. And I was just like, it's a rotational program, meaning you get to switch teams and positions and industries every like 1 to 2 years. So I was like, okay, so here I can get a lot of exposure to learn about different industries and their nuances and finally settle down on like what I like. So that's my answer for why Bloomingdale's. I think I love it so far. It's definitely given me that the right exposure that I was looking for. And I would say how I got the position. So as an assistant planner, pretty much the only way Bloomingdale's hired for these assistant buyers or assistant planners is through this leadership development program. It's a very prestigious program because the current senior management, I think more than 50% of them came from this program. And also the current like Macy's CEO, Tony Springs, he actually was a graduate of the same program. So I would say they care about this. They want to grow you. They want to see you stay at the company. The process was very simple, like simple but not simple. I think I got in touch with this recruiter because I applied for a marketing internship at Bloomingdale's. I got an interview, but I couldn't interview because I already signed another job offer. So senior year, I reached back out to her and I was like, can we connect? And then after that, she put me in the interview process, which consisted of like 4 rounds. I think like you have like an HR round, and then you have a few hiring manager rounds to determine if you're a better buyer or a planner, because these two are very different jobs. And then finally, you have a super day. And I think one thing that really impressed me about the super day is that the people who are interviewing me are like really high up people, and I interview without knowing that. Basically, after I got into the company and I met my former interviewers, and I was just like, how do you have time to like even interview me? So I think it really shows that they care about the people that they're hiring, and then they get like the higher ups involved. So I would say it's a very long but like thorough process for me to like get to know the company and know that it's the right choice for me.
Well, that was amazing. It was like soup to nuts on the whole application process. Thanks. Thank you for that. So, and I was thinking as you were talking about this and just the role of what you were doing. And so a lot of times students will ask about like what skills they should be developing, and also clubs they should be participating in. So now, granted, there's a lot of different job functions at Bloomingdale's. This is not the only one, but if somebody was interested in something in, say, this summer trainee program, can you think of some skills that you could advise students? Hey, think about this. If you don't have it, maybe take this class or do LinkedIn Learning and learn Excel a little better, or and any clubs you can think of. So yes, those are the questions.
Mhm. I would say the first thing is I want to say like a lot of people said like if you want to work at Bloomingdale's, do you have to have fashion experience? The answer is no. I think a lot of people in our class are like business majors, like econ majors like me. They want to hire for people who have that kind of like interdisciplinary thinking. So no fashion like we don't only hire from like FIT or like Parsons, schools like that. So I just wanted to assure everyone that you have an equal chance. I would say the first skill I think I would think of is just leadership and communication skills. I work in a 5-person team and we're handling around like 70, $80 million of business every year, which is very daunting, but it requires a lot of like communications with, for example, vendors, communications with other departments at Bloomingdale's, for example, visual merchandising, the store people, for example, when a store is not performing well, we reach out and be like, what's going on? So during this time, I feel like it requires a lot of like care for the business and just kind of the mindset to I am going to handle it. I'm going to communicate with everyone to make it happen. Retail spans so fast, so I feel like that kind of leadership and good communication skills are really crucial. In terms of hard skills, I feel like 90% of my job is done in Excel. So I would say like basic Excel skills will be good. We don't really get tested in Excel during the interview, but during the program, they do train us a lot on like how to make pivot tables, how to use basic functions like XLOOKUP, SUMIFs, things like that. Because 90% of our reporting and everything just live in Excel. So I would say having that data analysis skill is also very important. And I would say the third part is what they look for in the interview the most. It's just a genuine passion for retail for consumers. They always ask you like, oh, what kind of trends are you seeing across the retail industry? Or just why did you choose this field? Because I never worked in retail. That was a question that they asked me the most and the question that I had to like brainstorm and refine the most before my interview. So I would say look at newsletters, the Business of Fashion, Women's Wear Daily, or Retail Dive. Just subscribe to those newsletters, have a general sense of like what's happening in the industry, because that's going to open up more conversations between you and the interviewer and really help push your application forward.
That's great. And I know you did a very traditional application process in order to get the job. And this is usually where I ask students about networking. And I know, Ashley, you did that during your time in undergrad. What would you say to students, the value of it? Is that something you would encourage in fashion, marketing? Because those are the fields that you've been particularly active in.
Yeah, I would say it's so important because I wouldn't have got my job at Bloomingdale's if it's not for like marketing with Georgetown alumni. Like Bloomingdale's has a really good relationship with Georgetown. So a lot of current like buyers and planners, like senior people, even like assistants, like they basically hire from Georgetown every year. So when I was applying to Bloomingdale's, I actually had no idea what like fashion merchandising means or like what planning even means. So I reached out to a bunch of people, assistant level or like planner level people, just to chat about like what working at Bloomingdale's is like. And then they helped me a lot at like preparing the interview and knowing like what the right things to say are. So I would say I'm really thankful for like networking because it not only helped me realize that like merchandising is the right fit for me in terms of like skill set and what I want to do with my early career. But also I automatically had friends or like people I can go to for help when I like enter the company. So I would say it's very important. And I will also say just plug for Cawley. I started going to Jackie very, very early, like my sophomore year. So we had a really good relationship. And I think Jackie knows a lot about like what's going on in the industry, which companies hire a lot from Bloomingdale, from which companies hire a lot from Georgetown, things like that. So I would say that kind of information is also really useful for like me knowing like where to apply to, where to focus my applications on.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. Yes, we try to keep abreast of like who's hiring where, and Bloomingdale's does love to hire Georgetown students. Very true. Okay, so let's go back to the job itself, because when you were talking about everything that you're doing, I don't know if you could talk a little bit about something, maybe the part of your job that you like the most, or maybe the part of your job that you found most surprising when you accepted it.
I think the part of my job I like the most is just going to the store and seeing the work, like the product of your work. I would say I live pretty close to the Bloomingdale's flagship in New York, and I would just go to the second floor and see my vendors and be like, "Oh, I transferred that style here," or like that's part of the replenishment program that I'm running, and just talking to the salespeople and be like, "Oh, I work here. Like, how's store doing?" I think just seeing the product of your work in real life, I think just being able to touch them, feel them, I think that's so amazing because I know a lot of people in the traditional sectors don't really get that. So that's a plug for the retail industry. Like you can just really see what you're working on. And I would say the part that's surprising is how I would say vendor communications. I didn't imagine how much like negotiations were like communicating with vendors would be like that's like a huge part of my job. I would say it's not only like a consumer facing job, but there's also that B2B element. Like you have to be able to think from the vendor's shoes and think of like how to maintain this good partnership with them, think of like on their perspective, like what they would want from us and what we will want from them. So that's really tricky. I don't think you really get that experience in college. So that's something that I'm still like learning and working to like refine like as an assistant. Yeah.
This is great. So I'm thinking from your role now, you came in through the summer trainee program. I think they call it the leadership program. There's so many different employers call things so many different things, but through that traditional rotational program. So where do you envision going from here? Do you think staying in retail or fashion, or just out of curiosity, now that you're here, where might you see yourself going?
Um, I would say I love retail and I definitely want to stay here to kind of grow my skill set a little bit because um so basically after the assistant planner role I can grow into like a senior assistant or an associate and you get a lot more like visibility into the business and also you got a lot more responsibilities. I would definitely love to improve my skill set by just staying here and like getting promoted a little bit, so get more responsibilities. But I would say in the long term, I think I'm looking for something that combines my passion with like my past experience in retail and in marketing. So I'm potentially thinking of brand management, which is just like basically you're running a business, your business, but with more love like that brand and that marketing aspect into it, or just working at a consumer products company in general. So I think I'm still exploring. It's so early. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, so I'm thinking for students, you have said that you don't have to have worked in fashion to get a job in fashion. You brought a wide skill set to your role. Just because I'm looking at time and I want to give the people that are here with us virtually to ask you some questions, of course, off recording. Is there any last bits of advice that you would give to everybody who's watching, who might be interested in either Bloomingdale's or fashion?
Um, that's a good question. I would say like don't be scared to make a career pivot. I think a lot of people, because like Georgetown is pretty professional, as we all know, a lot of people think that I have to start like really ahead. I have to just make the right choices since college and then just stay on this very glorious career path. It doesn't have to be that way. I think a year ago or like 2 years ago at this point, like I would never have thought that I would work in fashion merchandising, but I've come to love it, and it's because I've taken that step to interview for a position that is might look challenging or like different to me. So I think don't be scared to explore different career paths and different career options, especially if you're interested in like marketing, communications, or like retail in general. There's so many different career paths that you can take that you will have transferable skills to. So I would say don't just turn yourself down for not having any relevant experience. You're so early in your career. It's not like you're making any mistakes. Just try it out. If you don't like it, you can always say no and find a different job. So I would say just be brave enough to take that career pivot.
Well, thank you so much, Ashley. Okay, so for those of you that are watching this on the recording, thank you for joining. For those of you that are actually here with us, hold tight for a few seconds, Ashley. Thank you very much.